Jesus explains nutritional intake, desires and instincts, and the soul's purpose in life. November 16th and 17th, 1961, message 8041, from Jesus through Bertha Dudde, spoken by Pascal. I wish to enlighten your spirit if you approach me about it. For the soul to mature during its material life is its true purpose here on earth. For its substances are still more or less immature when it begins its earthly existence as a human being. It still must struggle against many instincts it has brought with it from its previous incarnations, and it will always have the opportunity in earthly life to gain mastery over them, provided its will is good and turned towards me. However, it passes through the Luciferian realm, which means that it must wage a continual struggle that lasts until the end of its life. Time and again, the soul will come into contact with spiritually immature substances, which also reach it in the form of food to keep the body functioning properly. And the soul must spiritualize these substances as well. That is, strive to bring everything into the proper order. Thus, this spiritual element will join the body. It serves to build up and sustain what has been given to the soul as an outer shell, within which the soul itself is to mature. The spiritual element therefore serves the substances contained within the food, and through this, slowly ascends to higher realms, regardless of whether it originates from the plant or animal kingdom. The nourishment that the body must take in to sustain itself also consists of spiritual elements integrated into the process of maturation, each at a different stage of maturity. The body can also absorb what is harmful to it, that is, food that still contains an excessive amount of immature spiritual elements, which would then burden both the body and the soul, manifesting as illness. A strong soul, however, may bring these immature substances into order. Yet it must itself have already attained a high degree of spiritual maturity in order to exert a redemptive influence on the still immature spiritual elements. The proper preparation of food can therefore also promote faster maturation by eliminating harmful spiritual elements before they come into contact with the human body. For all spiritual elements still bound within creation are of a lower degree of maturity, but they can also find premature redemption if they willingly serve humanity. Then its path may be shortened, which is the case when the body submits to the will of the soul, when the body does not hinder the soul's conscious striving for perfection, and when those spiritual substances likewise support the soul by submitting to the body, that is, by allowing themselves to be spiritualized. However, this will only happen if the food the body takes in is pure, healthy, and conducive to the body's well-being. For as soon as the soul succeeds in making the body compliant, so that it submits to its will, the spiritualization of the body soon takes place, provided that the soul itself has united with the spirit within it, that is, consciously strives for spiritual perfection. But if the soul still lacks any kind of connection with its spirit, then it will allow itself to be controlled by the body, that is, all the non-spiritual substances of its physical shell come to the fore, and they dominate the soul, whose thoughts and will then seek only to increase physical comfort, and the intake of food and drink will greatly hinder spiritual development. The body will absorb an excess of non-spiritual substances that drag down both body and soul. For then everything Luciferian pushes itself to the forefront and encounters no resistance. Thus, upward development is also endangered, if not made entirely impossible. And once again, it follows that praying for a blessing on every meal is the best means of avoiding this danger. I can transform everything that is harmful to your soul, and I will do so if you always remember me before you partake of food, which will always contain, to a greater or lesser extent, immature spiritual elements. Because everything that passes through the works of creation is still bound to the earth, no matter what stage of development it has already reached. I take note of your will to attain perfection on earth, and the prayer for the blessing of everything you consume always demonstrates this will to me, and I will always grant it. But whatever serves the body for sustenance and nourishment thereby fulfills its own true purpose: to serve. And this is how you must always view the consumption of food. It goes without saying that a certain moderation must be observed, so that you do not merely satisfy your physical desires. In this way, you will avoid the danger of your body being unduly burdened by lower spiritual substances. You also do not need any special instruction regarding which foods are beneficial to you and which are harmful. For your will to live, according to my eternal order, gives you the proper intuition for choosing foods. And any food can be beneficial to you, just as any food can be harmful if you do not exercise moderation, or if you are tempted by base desires that you wish to satisfy. For you must know that your free will alone determines to what extent you resist the temptations of the adversary, the enemy of your soul, and he will always make use of everything that can pose a danger to you. He will awaken desires within you. He will influence your soul through the body and beset it wherever he can. He himself cannot force you, just as he cannot exert direct influence on the spiritual that is still bound to form. But he can incline your will by causing you to follow the thoughts he imposes upon you, by causing you to carry out what he imposes upon you through desires, by causing you to fulfill these desires, and thus be careless both in the choice and the amount of food you consume, or even consciously sin against my order, which you, however, recognize very well and are able to observe with goodwill. In a certain sense, you yourselves contribute to the redemption of immature substances in matter when you consume food and drink in moderation, because this is part of the maturation of every spiritual particle, that they may serve. And just as you enable matter to serve, you help it to mature. The serving function, or the purpose of service, is assigned by me to every work of creation. And if man himself is within the divine order, he will never, of his own accord, hinder the upward development of the spiritual, no matter in what form it may still be bound. For I myself have created man with all his needs, and it is up to him alone to always observe the proper measure and to make use of what I have assigned to him in wisdom and love. Whoever does not wish to sin consciously will also make use of all the creations intended for his use, no matter what spiritual level they may be at, in the order I have intended. And, remaining in union with me, he will always ask for my blessing, and will thereby himself contribute to ensuring that the still immature substances of his body, as well as what the body takes in for sustenance, are brought into proper order, so that they may mature during earthly life, as is my will. Amen.